So our first story comes from XD Nightwing. A few weeks ago, I and my girlfriend were laying in bed sometime around 4 a.m. I fell asleep, but she stayed up watching TV. I was on the left side of the bed. She was on the right. I woke up like out of nowhere and felt weird as fuck and just stared at the ceiling for a second from the bedside to my left, opposite side of my girlfriend. I heard my name being called above my head. Not my nickname that I go by, my full name, and I looked at my girlfriend and asked if she heard it, and she said, yeah. Creeped out as fuck. Even worse is when my girlfriend was aged 3 to 6, there was a demon that tried to possess her and attached itself to her, pretending to be an imaginary friend and shit, and playing with her and stuff. And one day, her mom asked the name of the imaginary friend, and it was some weird ass name. So her mom looked it up, and it was some spooky ass demon that tried to possess kids. Anyway, the demon thing got on some fuck shit, and they had a priest over to bless the house and her room and shit, and had to draw crosses all over her room and use a projector on the ceiling to show a cross and wrote crosses all over her body. He used holy water and shit, but anyway, the next day we were going out somewhere, and she realized that she had forgotten something in the house. Once we got back to the car, she went back into the house, and then she walked to the front door. The wooden cross that hung above it by a screw fell on her head and has been there for years and never fallen. Over the next few nights, we kept hearing her closet door in the bathroom open at night. And it's weird to have a closet in the bathroom, I know. Also, there was the side of the room I heard my name being called from. But after a few nights of that, it went away. Just starting last week, though, there have been noises coming from the bedroom in the house no one uses, and as always happens when I'm alone in her house. Even the dogs get spooked by it and acknowledge it. Also, ever since that night of hearing my name being called, that part of the room has always been cold as fuck. That tiny specific area right in front of the closet. Yeah, that's not cool. That's definitely something you need to look out for. Sage, fault, exorcism. I don't know, something along those lines. The next story comes to us from Trash City 2002. Some years ago, I was home around 8 p.m. and Mom was in the kitchen. It was a very windy night, creepy wind like trees shaking and stuff. So I was playing around on my laptop in my room, and I clearly heard someone or something in a grimy voice saying my name. Like literally, I was not on drugs or anything. The voice came from under my wardrobe. That shit was hella creepy. I heard it loud and clear calling my name. That was my first experience. After a couple of months, there were stray dogs barking outside my gate and stuff. It was around 10 p.m., and I was having dinner, and while I was eating, I could clearly see someone sitting right next to me like something. And then I looked in that direction, and it was gone, like poof. That was very fucking creepy. In the third experience, I was watching TV at like 9 a.m., and someone or something was holding my two shoulders and just shaking. I was really, really dizzy and stuff and could not move. I was shaking my chair and holding me when I stood up. After it ended, there were marks on my two shoulders, and I could feel that someone held me down really hard. The neighborhood kids said there was a rumor that the plot where our house was built was haunted or something. Or something, yeah. That's definitely sounds like something. The next story comes to us from Refuse to Wipe My Ass. It's a lovely name. I'm impressed. As a foreword, I do not believe in ghosts, ghouls, spooks, spirits, skeletons, scallywags, or none of that tomfoolery. But I do have two stories that might be of slight interest to some. I would often take late night classes so that I could sleep in, and this story takes place on a night where I was walking back to my dorm from class, just as I had on many other nights. This would have been around 10:30 p.m. My dorm at the time was the furthest student residence on the campus from the actual academic buildings, but at least it felt that way to me. So often I would take a shortcut. Ordinarily, if you're taking the actual designated path, you'd have to go around several buildings to get to the dorm from the school. There was a dirt road just about where I would get on the dirt path. I'm not exactly sure where it led to or what it was used for, but if you started on it instead of the path, you would basically just go behind those buildings and slip out of the trees to save a couple of minutes of walking. I would occasionally see other people on the path during the afternoon or early evening when I was going to class, but never when it was nighttime. The campus was largely bright and suitably lit, this path being one of the few exceptions. Bereft of any utilities, it had no lamps or street lamps as the paved roads did. It was just dirt and trees. Aside from the trees having faces, it generally looked quite a bit like that picture of Butter in the Screaming Forest. It won't let me attach it, but you know what I mean. I started down the dirt road and I really can't emphasize how dark it got on that path. The tree canopy was so thick that it blocked my ambient light pollution. It was like walking in the forest. It was a moonless night. I have my phone with the brightness turned all the way up and the flashlight on, and I still can't see more than a couple of feet in front of me. As I'm walking, I usually would have my gaze and phone lower, taking care not to get caught on a fallen branch or something. But prior to this, I never saw anything that would trip me up. So imagine my surprise when I motion forward for a second, looking for my exit and see a person, or at least part of a person. A black and white and gray checkered flannel shirt, kind of glowing from the side of my phone, just inches in front of me. Nothing above the collar or below the waist, or even hands, just a torso. I don't think I had a big reaction to it. If memory serves, I think I just said, "Oh, sorry," and sidestepped and kept walking. I didn't hear any noise that wasn't coming from me either before or after what I saw. It wouldn't be much longer before I got to the section of the path where the tree line had a slight break, where the light shone on the buildings and you could exit the path to the dorms. I didn't think much of it until I entered the dorm building. When I got back to my room, I told my roommate what happened and what I saw on the path, and he started flipping out. Ironically, it was he who had convinced me that I saw a ghost, not myself. According to him, the school was built on an Indian burial ground or something. It sounded like a load of shit to me. There was a bunch of natives that lived, sure, unsure, in the area, with legends about how you'll never be seen again if you go into their mountains after the sun goes down, so who knows, maybe it was built on one. I don't think an ancient Indian spirit would be wearing a flannel, though. Plus, a ghost on the campus that, to my knowledge, has no recorded deaths? Was it a frat boy who met too many natty lights? Was it basically the end of the semester, and when I came back, I moved into another dorm with a different part of the campus, so I neither had the chance nor reason to go down that path again? That ending up being for much longer than I really thought it would be, and the payoff's not even that wild. But there's a short, crazy one my mom told me. When she was young, she and her friends were playing with a Ouija board again. Sorry. Her friend dared to ask her when she would die. She was so scared to ask about her own death, so she asked about her sister's death instead. Apparently, that was the day her sister died. That was a little more freaky. Yeah, actually, the second story's a bit better. But the torso flannel thing could be tricks of the light. Could be, it could be a lot of things. But that would be definitely freaky. I wouldn't want to run into that at any time of the day. So the next story comes to us from Fudanchi. From the ages of 10 to 13ish, I could have sworn that there was some kind of ghostly presence following me around. I think I might have been tied to the house me and my family lived in at the time because when we moved away, it stopped. But weird shit would happen so often, and I was the only one who seemed to notice. The first thing I remember is walking home from school and all of my little animal figurines I had lined up in a half-circle shape around the door. My parents weren't home, and when I asked them about it later, they said they didn't do it, and I probably imagined it. Other stuff happened too, like going downstairs to get water and hearing someone using the computer in the kitchen and nobody being there, or my door opening at night. The thing that freaked me out the most was that at night I was watching TV in the living room. I heard someone walk into the living room, and then I heard breathing, and then the breathing stopped, and whatever it was ran down the hallway and down to the basement stairs. My family was all sleeping. What I remember most is the feeling I had. I was so terrified that I couldn't move. I remember going on a trip with my family to Florida and also hearing breathing, shuffling right next to my bed. I could have sworn something was in my room with me, but when I looked around, nothing was. I was a super paranoid kid, so maybe that impacted the things I thought I was seeing or hearing, but it creeped me out so bad at the time. I've always talked to my mom, since I've talked to my mom about it, she said that she always felt like there was something paranormal going on when she was that age too. One night, during a storm, she saw a figure of a man outside her window, even though she was on the second floor, and she knows she wasn't dreaming. We got crazy family history, so maybe we're all destined to be haunted. I don't know. Could be if your family is very in tune with whatever. that it's drawn to you guys, and that's what it sounds like to me, but who knows? I don't know as much as I pretend to. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.